Okay, we are live for Tuesday Talks. Welcome, welcome, welcome. John Robinson here. I'm your host and super glad to have you. Just give everybody a few minutes to jump on here. And I wanted to say hello to you. Hopefully, you're having a great day. It's a beautiful, beautiful day here in sunny Boise, Idaho. I'm actually technically here in this studio space. I'm located in Eagle, Idaho. So, if you guys are familiar with the Treasure Valley area, you know that um, there is a difference. You have to define the difference between Eagle and Nampa, Boise, Meridian, all these different places. But no matter where you are in the valley today, it's beautiful, super wonderful, lovely day. Just a tiny bit. I don't want to say chilly, but enough this morning when I was on my walk with my wife. There's a little bit of frost hanging out, or that little steam that hangs out in the air. So, but let me know where you're coming from. We always try to start off by recognizing where people are from. Where are you watching from? Are you watching from Portland? Are you watching from Boise? We've had people that are jumping on from some different places. So if you are on right now and you can hear my voice, part of the reason why I ask where you're watching from is because it lets me know that you can actually hear me. We've had some times here where we started off, I was talking for several minutes before I figured out that nobody could hear me. So if you can hear me, if you're on right now, please just make a little post in the comment. Let me know that you're here and that you're watching. Um, it's it's a great day. I want to talk a little bit today about something that I'm not super excited about, but I'm definitely trying to be open about things. And sometimes we like to get all excited about all the good things, but but sometimes there's things that happen in our business that are actually setbacks, or they're just not really good things at all. So I want to talk a little bit about that in my personal life. A business thing that I was trying to launch was going to be getting started here, and it hasn't turned out to be as good as I thought it would. In fact, it's been a total flop, total dud, zero interest whatsoever so far. And so I'm going to talk about that a little bit. So appreciate you guys. There's okay. Now I'm seeing some people come in. We got Ted and Heather Sedler watching in from Portland. Kind of interesting thing. I met Ted and Heather here in Boise in Meridian properly, and met them over at the Title One office in Meridian. Got to hang out and visit with them, hear a little bit about their story. Very great couple. If you guys don't know Ted and Heather in Portland, you definitely need to know, and especially if you guys are involved in the Legacy Leads Group training, make sure you connect with Ted, because Ted or Heather, they're actually working on setting up kind of an in-home care type of a business there in the Portland market, and huge demand for that. Very great people, and I'm really excited about doing whatever we can to help their business get launched. So Ted, thanks for jumping on here today. We got Sherry Moore, Sherry from Beaverton, and she just had a birthday here recently. So we got to sing happy birthday to Sherry on Thursday night. So if you guys didn't get a chance to say that, then go ahead and make sure you wish Terry a happy birthday. She did bring her own cupcakes to the birthday. So I thought that was, pretty, kind of sad for us that we didn't take care of that. So I got Josh Hayes is on. Josh just texted me a few minutes ago. Josh, I was driving and I was actually on the other line, so I couldn't get back to you, but I got your text that Josh, let's give everybody get ready to give Josh a big round of applause. Give him a woot woot, whatever, because Josh just got his first deal under contract. And that's with a guy named Matt Beard, who I know out of the Phoenix market. And Matt and Pace used to be partners. They're not anymore. I don't know if there was some kind of fallout or anything, but it doesn't matter, because Josh is actually working a little bit with Matt Beard and got a property under contract. So, Josh, I'm looking forward to hearing a little bit about that. And feel free to text me over if you want to, the address or the details, and I'll look over that with you. Love it. Yeah, Josh, yay. That's what I'm saying. So, good job, guys. Good job. Anybody else have any wins? Anybody want to celebrate a win? Doesn't matter if it's a big win. Doesn't matter if it's a little tiny one. I'm asking for wins today because of the fact that what I'm going to talk about from my personal perspective today is actually not a win at all. In fact, it's a lose, it's a dud, it's a didn't happen type of a thing. So I want to talk a little bit about failures in business, failures in business, failures in real estate. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about that. So maybe you guys can help us out with some wins first, right? So I see Francisco is on here. Francisco, good to see you here, man. Thank you, hermano. Hope you're having a great day. Anybody else, if you're just jumping on, let us know where you're watching from, and just kind of give us a little update on if you have any wins. Something, give us something big. Sherry, you made it through another year, right? So that's a win. You guys, hopefully the weather's there good where you're at. Again, like we talked about, it's beautiful here in the Treasure Valley. I want to talk about failures in business. Failures in business. By the way, guys, if as I'm talking, if something resonates, or if you have a question, feel free to post it in the comments. Francisco just let us know he's working today in Portland. Appreciate that, Francisco. We've got Sherry says, I win every day. I love that because I keep going. Working on 2 new funding deals. Fantastic, Sherry. By the way, speaking of funding deals, guys, I have 3 projects right now. Every one of them is a fantastic. And one of these just came in here just in the last couple of days. But I've got 3 really, really good co-living type of properties. Co-living, of course, being the model where you take the property and you rent out one room at a time individually. You rent it out on less than a 12-month lease contract. So that way you keep those contracts renewing if people want to stay. People aren't locked into a long-term lease. So the co-living model, the short, kind of not short-term per se, but definitely not long-term, I think is personally something that is going to become more and more popular. Why is the co-living model going to become more popular? Because of the fact that as housing prices continue to go up and affordability climbs with those prices, the demand for affordable housing is going to increase as well. So if you can take a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house and turn it into a 5-bedroom, 2-bath house, like the one I'm getting ready to work on out here in the Treasure Valley, if you can do that, then there's a pretty good chance that not only are you going to get good, you can take properties that are maybe not great deals on a traditional long-term model. You can take those properties, turn them into great potential cash flow properties just by simply adding a quick partition wall. So like I'm looking at one right now. Like I said, I'm looking at 3, but I'm looking at 1 right now. So we're going to take the living room, we're going to partition it off. And the way that some of these houses are laid out is just perfect for this, because you can throw up one wall, put a door in that wall. Now you've got yourself a bedroom. Okay. And maybe a little bit of light electrical work, just, flipping, putting the switch in a different place. But the point is, I've got one of these in Nampa, about 7 minutes from Northwest Nazarene University. It's on a 1-acre lot. It's a great property. It was actually brought to me by somebody here in the PDX REI group. They know the owner, that they contacted me, getting a 1% finder's fee for this, for the person who brought this deal to me. So guys, listen, the person who brought this lead to me, just for making the introduction, hey John, is this a property you'd be interested in? Yes, I think that is. Okay, here's the phone number of the seller. And I told her we can do it this way or we can do it that way. How do you want to do it? She says, let's just go with this. She's making a 1% finder's fee on this deal as long as I close on it, which that's what we're working on right now. That 1%, guys, this is on a $534,000 or $536,000 purchase. So she's going to literally make $5,340 something simply for connecting me to her seller. No contract on her part. No explaining all the terms, although she has done a great job. Just connecting the seller and the buyer. She's making $5,300 commission, referral fee, whatever you want to call it, finder fee, bird dog fee. So guys, if you have these types of deals out there, then please, if you don't know what to do with it, please bring it to me. This co-living model is going to be a big deal. Josh says, are you doing Jamil's co-living thing, John? So I'm not doing that co-living thing because of the fact that as part of Owners Club, I already have access to the co-living structures, the paperwork, documentation, stuff like that. So if you guys would like to, know more about co-living, we might do a Zoom or maybe just do an entire call or Tuesday talk scheduled, speaking to that specifically. But here's what I wanted to let you know. I'm working on that deal. I've got another deal in Portland, and then I've got another deal that just popped up on the radar. That is a really good potential short-term rental. And with every one of these transactions, what's the thing that I need? Because I've learned this a long time ago. It's better to bring people into the deals and give them a portion of the profit than it is to try to do all this myself. And so I had to learn that the hard way because I was losing deals because I was not willing to share the profit. And I had to get over myself. I had to get over, my apprehensions. And ever since I did that, it's been so much better. Why? Because I'm making money with people that I know, like, and trust. So like Sherry Moore, she's got some funding and financing. Sherry, I'd love to talk to you again. I think that you and I had talked a little bit about one of the properties in Portland. I think I've got that one squared away. But like I said, right now I got 3 other properties where I need funding. One of them I need about 100,000. The other one I need about 75, and the other one I'm probably going to need about 45 to 50,000 to make that deal work. And every one of these is already going to be properties I'm personally going to hold. And here's the thing: if you guys want to hold these properties with me, if you want to jump in and actually be a partial owner, have an equity portion or something like that, that's totally doable. I'm fine with that. So if you guys have properties that have a little bit of funding that you want to put into one of the properties working with me, all you got to do is let me know in the chat or DM me, and I'll talk to you after the show today. Josh has a great question. He says, what are you looking for in co-living? So for me, what I want to find with co-living is I want to find a property that I can add more bedrooms to. Bathrooms as well. But remember, when you start doing bathrooms, now we're getting into permitting and things like that. So if I can add at least 2 bedrooms to a 3-bedroom house, preferably 3 bedrooms to make it a 6-bedroom house, that's what I'm looking for with co-living. Another thing is proximity to public transportation, or proximity to, like the one I mentioned out there in Nampa, is about 7 minutes away from Northwest Nazarene University. Very popular local school, very well established. They got good financing and funding. So excuse me, I gotta fix this chair here. Oops, you just didn't fix it. There we go. Now it keeps on wanting to go back on me. But so I'm looking for properties that I can add bedrooms to, or like this one in Nampa, I can get 2 additional bedrooms out of it. But here's the other thing: I want to get those bedrooms occupied, right? Throw up those partition walls, get those doors in, get those rooms rented out. The numbers I'm showing show about $800 a month is a fairly safe number. $800 a month. Let's just do the quick math on this. That's 4 of the bedrooms there will be at $800 a month. That's $3,200 a month. Of course, you guys can do math. Plus the master bedroom, primary bedroom, whatever you want to call it. That one will probably go for about $975 because it has its own bathroom. So you got a total of $4,175 a month on a property that has a 3.125% interest rate. And that same property, get this, the mortgage payment on that property is about $2,400 a month. So you kind of do some quick math on that. So if I take my 4,175, I'm cash flowing after the mortgage payment about $1,775. Now, do I want to manage this one myself? Probably not. So let's just take off another $400 for property management. Now we're down to $1,375. Let's stuff some aside for rainy days, water heaters that break, that kind of thing. Let's just say we're going to set aside $250 a month. So let's just call $1,125 a month. Now let's just say I'm going to be working with a lender. Let's just talk, hypotheticals, right? Let's say I'm going to talk with a lender. That lender is going to pitch in about $75,000 a month. $75,000 to make this deal happen. And they want, say, a 10% return on their investment. Let's just break that up into, into a monthly payment. That comes out to about $500 a month. And so again, is this like a huge win? Maybe not for some people, but think about this. If I can pick up these properties all day long that won't sell on the open market, they're not moving, but I can pay the seller to walk away from the deal, give them their cash out equity. That's why I need that 75,000, by the way, is because I've got to give that money to the seller. Going to make him happy. He's going to go on and do what he needs to do. So I've got to pay my private money investor for that 75 though, right? So if I'm using, interest only payments, we're using an example of, some of my math might not be perfect, but let's just say $500 a month. After all of my expenses are covered, after incidentals are set aside for, after management, after mortgage payments, after insurance and interest and everything, if I can make $600 a month on a property that I didn't have to really do anything other than set up the payment and then get it turned over to a property management company, man, that's not a bad deal, right? $600 a month. I do that, let's say 10 times over the course of a year. Do you think it's possible to get 10 of these types of properties under contract? Absolutely. Guys, this is not that hard of work to do. Especially if you put yourself out there and start, raising your hand and say, hey, everybody, hey, world, I'm looking for these types of deals. So, the thing is this is not like a really far stretched imagination. Imagine having 10 properties like this that are all cash flowing $500 to $600 a month. Some of them even better. Some of these can get $1,000 a month. One of them that I've got right now that I'm looking for funding on. After I pay my private money investor, after I pay the mortgage payment, after I pay for everything, like I just showed you, I have the potential of making about $1,500 a month on that one property by using the co-living model. So using the co-living model allows me to rent out by the room, add additional rooms, rent those rooms out, take spaces that are kind of like maybe an unused detached garage, turn that into a bedroom. And guys, next thing you know, I've got, a property that's looking to cash flow after everything is paid for, anywhere from $1,200 to $1,500 a month. You put 10 of those in your portfolio, have those checks coming or direct deposit into your account every month. Guys, that's a life-changing income. Okay. So I want you to understand that this is totally possible. It's doable. I'm doing it. I've shifted a lot of my focus toward the co-living model, buy and hold. We've got Chad here. He asked a great question. He says, do investors ever buy retail prices? So I think what Chad means is, do investors ever pay or buy properties at retail pricing? I could be wrong on that, but Chad, if that's what you did not, if you didn't mean that, then let me know in the comments, but I'll address this. So the short answer is yes. Okay. The investor like myself on this one I just mentioned here in Nampa, it's anywhere from 5 to 7 minutes to Northwest Nazarene University. So I'm looking at this 3-bedroom, 2-bath house on a big lot, 1-acre lot. It's got room to add 2 additional bedrooms very easily, very cheap, a couple $1,000, and I'll have these walls up and have the light switches in. Okay. So the other thing about this property I didn't mention yet is it has room, plenty of room to add a detached shop. What I mean by shop is like a pole barn type of structure. So very, very efficient, easy to build. Costs are going to be super low on that. You pour a concrete slab floor, you put in a drain for the bathroom, tie it into the septic system. And on one end of that shop, after it's finished, and I got the permits and everything done, and on one end of that shop, you throw up some partition walls, and I can add 2 or 3 additional bedrooms in that shop space and have those rented out at $800 a month. Plus have the shop space that I could set up with another wall in there and have a plywood wall with plywood doors cut out with hinges and a lock on it, to where now I rent out storage space, secured private storage space, to any one of the 5 to 7 different rent by the room renters I have, tenants I have in that place, for an additional upcharge of, let's just say, $45 a month on top of their rent. And now they have access to their own private storage space. You guys see how this is working. You start off by at the bottom, just the flat rate of the room rent, and then you add on additional fees for stuff that would be technically considered like extra. And man, these properties can cash flow. So to answer the question, Chad, yes, this particular property, I'm actually paying full retail price, if I'm going to be honest, I'm actually paying a little bit more than retail price because of the fact that I know, number one, I'm going to cash flow on this property as soon as I have the renters in it. Okay. It's got a cash flow. Number two, I'm getting a loan that I'm going to be able to keep until the year 2051. Think about that math, guys. Until the year 2051, I have this loan locked in at 3.125% interest, fixed rate. Okay, so to me, it's a no-brainer. If I can get a property locked up, I gladly pay the private money to come in to 75,000. Sherry Moore says, confirming the deal you discussed on Thursday now needs 75. No, Sherry, this is a different deal. So this is a different deal now. Guys, I'm getting deals left and right. In case you haven't noticed this, the market has changed. There's a lot of people that are pulling their money in. Things are kind of quiet out there right now, right? I mean, so much stuff is going on. Interest rates haven't really come down. The economy hasn't bounced back. Good night, the Pope dies. I mean, what else is going on, right? There's all kinds of crazy things going on. So people are pulling back. They're not going out and purchasing right now like people had hoped would happen. And because of that, there's deals that are on market that you guys can be able to pick up if you present your offer the right way, if you structure a solution, not just I hope it sticks to the wall type of an offer. Get those offers out there. If you don't know how to put together an offer, bring those leads to me and I will show you guys how to do this. We'll do it with you. I like doing the done with you approach. Okay. So Sherry, this deal is this is a different deal now. And I've got deals coming in left and right. So Sherry, if you got money to put out and you know that it's the kind of money that can park for anywhere from 6 to 12 months, that's primarily what I'm looking for. But I've got other deals right now. So if you got something that you want to put into play, then let's talk for sure. So Chad, I hope that answers your question. Yes, some of us do pay full price. And I want to look at the comments here, see what else we have going on. Also get a little sip. My wife brought me an iced Americano here. Just a touch of heavy cream. Afternoon coffee, I like a little bit heavy cream if it's iced. So just in case you guys are wondering, you don't want to know what to buy me. Okay, so John George has a great question. Have you talked to a property management company that's interested in co-living? I have not. So obviously, if you guys were in Portland for the February proximity event where I had Pad Split come in, and by the way, if you guys are in Seattle or if you're in Boise, I'm working with Pad Split right now out of Atlanta, Georgia, to come in to do an event and presentation in the Boise market and in the Seattle market. So if you guys know anybody in those markets, you want to be a part of that, please let me know. I'd love to be able to collaborate with people here locally and have Pad Split come in. But Pad Split has a really unique platform. They obviously charge 10%, I think it is, to use their platform. But it makes the management, the contracts, the booking, you're basically being able to leverage on their marketing model. And it's a really, really great platform. So John, I plan on using Pad Split for everything that I can. I know Amy Adams is the first Pad Split landlord in the Portland market, and I know she said it is amazing. She's got the units booked out. Just as soon as one empties out, another one's right in behind them. And remember, this is kind of a unique model, right? Where these are people that are coming in sometimes for 1 month at a time, sometimes for 10 months at a time. So people just needing sometimes a place to crash, as long as they can qualify on the front end with Pad Split's unique, vetting model, then they get in and they actually have, they can get into a property pretty quickly, sometimes the same day, as opposed to going through that entire process and waiting for an apartment or something like that, and possibly not even be able to qualify for that. So, John, I'm planning on doing Pad Split, and I've been looking into, don't tell anybody, but what I've been looking into is purchasing a property management company on Creative Owner Carry Financing. So find a property management company that wants to sell, buy that property management company, and then implement a co-living model offer into that property management company. So think about that. That'd be awesome, wouldn't it? So that's kind of what I'm working on right now. Josh says, I've got people, an agent in 77 Seattle today. Haven't seen it yet, but if you're interested, I'm going to send it to you. Yeah, Josh, I'm interested, man. You know, you and I have talked. I'm interested in anything at all that you want to have, a little bit of help on or look at it. You mentioned, does the area matter? Now, this is one thing with the pad split or the co-living model that does actually come into play. Okay, think about this. With co-living, you're adding more people, more tenants to the property, right? Like I'm taking the 1 3-bedroom, 2 bath, turning it into a 5-bedroom, 2 bath. With After we get the house booked out, I've already got plans in place. I'm looking into getting a nice floor plan for a small shop, probably like a 24 by 30 type of a shop space, right off the front of the property on the driveway. When you come off of the driveway, I'll be turn into the right into the shop. So it'll be kind of like a detached garage with a side entrance type of thing. Match the decora of the house, but put this 24 by 30 shop up. And then on one end of that shop, so that 30 foot on the 30-foot length part, we take one end of that shop and we put a balloon wall from floor to ceiling all the way up. We put a wall in there, 2 by 6 wall, insulated, double sheet drywall on it, so we actually have fireproofing. And we create on that one end of the shop, we create a space for 3 additional little apartments. So if you got 24, you got 30, then these are going to be maybe not 3, maybe it's only 2, but the point is you can get at least 2, if not 3, depending on the size of the shop you build. Now you got those little units in there, plus a shared bathroom. You connect that to the existing sewer system and water system, and voila, there you just added an additional $1,600 to $2,400 a month in income on that property that's already producing $4,500 a month in revenue. So um, I think that it's really important to remember that although you're going to be getting more rooms rented out, right, tenants, you also have to remember that you have to have a property that either A, has enough room for parking for all those people, because we just now, let's just say that scenario, we've got now 8 different people living on that property. And we have to be mindful of the fact that we don't want to have 8 vehicles parked out if it's a little tiny narrow street, right? Or we want to have a ruling where this is like a no vehicle. This is like a walk score or biking, or whatever it is you want to say. It's a public transit type of property only. And so you have to kind of factor in those 2 things, Josh. I don't know if that answers your question, but you do have to factor in parking and public transport. So that's a big one. Okay, there's Janet. Janet is guys. I was telling you a little bit about the one of the leads that I got earlier. I don't know if Janet just joined us, but Janet is one of my people here that brought me this lead. And God willing, everything going well. Everything's moving along. Funding comes in. We got a couple of little things that we're working through right now with really on the title side. It's not because of the seller or the buyer or anything like that. It's just getting the title people to line things up. But if everything goes well, Janet will be getting 1% of a $536,000 sale deal. So not a bad date for one basically connection and putting me together with the buyer. So there's Janet on there. You guys can contact her. Hopefully, after we get this all sold, then we'll get her on there and have her tell us a little bit about her experience working with me and how we got it done. Okay. Guys, I don't see any other questions at the moment, so I want to talk about what I told you at the top of the hour that I'd be talking about, which is what about when things go bad? What about when things get messy? What about when things don't go the way that you thought it would? So I'm referring to, in this case, and it could be any number of different scenarios, but for me personally, I have something that's a little bit disappointing to me, and that is for those of you that are in the Legacy Leads group training, you know that we've already started that training, and we've been plowing through that. We have we have our weekly call tomorrow, and that's going to be as scheduled, like the normal spot. But I just want to let you guys know, some of you kind of heard about the Legacy Leads. I think we've been doing great. I think I've had a lot of great feedback from the people that are getting that training. If you guys are in that and you're on this call today, feel free to jump in the comments and tell us what you really think. No, I'm not filtering stuff. So if you hate it, then you can say so. If you've been enjoying it, you can say so. But here's the thing: the Legacy Leads group was kind of a small little unit of people that I wanted to intentionally keep it small. But what I'd also had planned was putting out a 3-day challenge on to basically start getting a gauge for what the interest was in the market for this type of unique niche. And so we put together what we called the Best Lead Challenge. Best Lead Challenge. This was going to be kind of an introduction to what we have on the back end, which is the Legacy Leads group training. Tess says it's been great. Thank you, Tess. I appreciate that word of testimony. Tess is one of our initial guinea pigs, right, for the Legacy Leads training. We just heard her and I actually just had a call this morning. We have our one-on-ones with the students that are fully paid up. So Tess has been a great student. She's been learning a lot. She's been putting stuff into application, which is even better. But the point is, these are very, very unique leads that come in from a very unique approach. And so we had said, hey, let's do a challenge. We're going to do a 3-day challenge. We're going to talk about this. And guys, I put so much work, and Josh Hayes did too. Josh working with me put so much work into this, setting up this 3-day challenge, which was supposed to start today. Okay. And here's where the disappointment thing is that I wanted to kind of tell you guys about. Okay. The 3-day challenge was supposed to start today, and we had done a little bit of marketing for it. We had put a lot of work into it, had kind of a funnel system and a website and everything set up, had a login link connected to all the different, financial pays and all that stuff, and got it all done, worked kind of around the clock to get it done. And I looked at it last night, and reality is that not one person has signed up for that 3-day challenge. And I looked at that last night and I thought, okay, that's disappointing, but I don't want to dwell on the disappointment. I want to focus on what it is that we can do to improve it. But I want to just stop and say this before I talk about that. Guys, sometimes we just have to acknowledge that even our best efforts are not going to be enough if we don't have the right team, if we don't have the right processes, if we don't have the right marketing. Is a huge deal that a lot of people don't think about. We don't tend to think of ourselves as marketing because we're not trying to sell something. Typically, we're trying to buy properties. We're trying to provide services. But the point is, marketing is a big deal. Branding is a big deal. Timing is a big deal, right? How we approach all this stuff is really, really big. So before I started kicking into, okay, well, how can we improve this? I took a little time last night and even this morning to reflect on, okay, we did all this work. We set this thing up. What went wrong? Like, what is it about this that just isn't attractive enough to get even one person to sign up for this 3-day challenge that we put together? So I had to really kind of take all that into consideration. Josh says we didn't really market it as hard as we could have. We can make it happen for sure. So I 100% agree, Josh, and I'm actually looking forward to round 2. Getting it out there, putting it out there, having a 3-day challenge. We're going to make it happen one way or the other. But I had to acknowledge that this 3-day challenge that I've been working on and Josh had been working on, we've kind of been really leaning into. I talked a lot about it to Pace Morby's team. I put it out there. It just didn't. Whether it was the timing leading up to it, whether it was just the, whatever, it just didn't happen. And so I think that it's good for us to every once in a while. Sometimes everything is so positive, so it's amazing, and we're always thinking about the good things, that sometimes we miss the opportunity to reflect on what didn't work and why it didn't work. And I 100% agree with my friend Josh here, is that we didn't really do the marketing the right way. I think was the big thing, which really actually taught me a lot about, if we're going to try to do this kind of stuff, I really can't skip the marketing, right? We can have an amazing funnel. We can have an amazing product. Guys, I had a really great 3-day challenge that was going to be lined up for 1 hour per day. and then a VIP access where you guys can get in and get an additional hour and ask all kinds of questions. And this, by the way, this isn't marketing to you guys directly. What I'm saying, I'm just talking about marketing. It was going to go kind of a broad blast. And we had all this stuff. We have all this stuff perfect. We could have the great knowledge. We could have the great content. We could have a great price point. But if the world doesn't know that we're even out there doing this, like some of you are commenting, Tess says, I didn't even hear about it. Ted says, I did not hear the challenge. Kevin hears, I mean, I'm getting a confirmation. You guys are basically proving my point. I missed last Tuesday talk, but I have not heard about the challenge at all. So for example of proving my point, I failed at getting the word out about this thing that I was really, really focused in on and really intentionally like putting together. And to the point where it was like late hours, it was every spare moment we worked on getting this whole thing set up. It was supposed to start today, and we had exactly 0 people sign up for it. What happened? Well, I'm just going to say I failed. Okay. I believe in extreme ownership, right? You guys have all heard of that concept. Maybe you've read the book by Jocko. Jocko is a Navy SEAL. He's got some great motivational stuff. He speaks a lot. I heard him speak in San Diego back in 2018 and got to meet him personally. Got to take a picture with my daughter, who was just, I think she was 12 at the time, Olivia. She got to go hear him. I said, if you want to go to this conference with me and hear Jocko, then you got to read his book. So Olivia was 12 or 13. She read Jocko's book on extreme ownership. We've talked about that, but that process is that principle rather is super important to me. I will take ownership on the fact that I failed. And I think that it's good sometimes in this culture of everything's positive, think positively, don't focus on the negative, which is all true. I get that. But we don't want to focus on the negative, but we also don't want to just skip over the thing that caused the failure. Why? Because if we don't learn from our failures, we're not going to be able to improve. We're just going to repeat the thing over and over and over again. Ted says, fail fast and fail forward. Everything is a lesson. That's right. And so I just want you guys to know that failure is not something that we want to necessarily avoid. I'll give you an example of this. The Easter here, this last Sunday, Easter Sunday, my kids were out playing. My older kids were older, right? They're in their late teens, early 20s. And so they had a bunch of friends come over from church in the afternoon, and they were playing spike ball, where they hit the ball down there. And anyway, one of their buddies came over, and I know he's been training for some ministry stuff here locally, and he's been interested in ministry. And my background being in ministry, he wanted to come over and chat, and he's talking about an opportunity he might have this summer to go get involved in ministry and kind of intern a little bit. And one of the things he mentioned to me is like, the only thing I'm nervous about is I really, really hate the thought of failure. And that kind of made me, I was like, well, okay, what's next? By the way, this young man's like 21, 22 years old. He's not married, doesn't have a lease on an apartment. He doesn't have a real full-time steady job. He's just been kind of focused on ministry. He's serving in the church that we're a part of. And he's got this opportunity to go out and try something in a different place, kind of put his skills to work, right? Put the things he's been learning into practice. But he said, I'm nervous about doing that because I can't stand the thought of failure. And do you think I had something to say to him? Guys, how many of you guys know that failure is an option? Give me a thumbs up or give me a 1 or something in the chat if you know that failure is absolutely an option. Give me a 1 or a thumbs up in the chat. Failure is an option. Failure is actually part of the process of learning, right? Thank you, Ted. Yeah, guys, if you guys know that failure is an option and you know that failure is even likely, then it helps us overcome the fear of getting started. It helps us overcome the fear of the what ifs. And so for this young man, I was able to kind of spend a little time with him, even kind of using this latest attempt with this 3-day challenge that really didn't fizzle. It didn't happen. I was kind of waiting. I thought, well, maybe there'll be a couple more things that come in at the last minute. But in the back of my mind, I knew that wasn't going to happen, and it didn't. But the point is this: if we try to live our entire life avoiding failure, then we're never going to actually achieve anything of any great significance, because the fact of the matter is that failure is part of the process of living. It's the part of the process of learning, right? You guys remember back in the day when you started learning your ABCs, if you recall back that far, you started in school, at a young age. If you remember those early memories, it wasn't, you didn't get everything perfect. I mean, we make a lot of mistakes. And so we got to be careful. We don't want to make mistakes that hurt other people. Okay. So I'm not trying to say be reckless. I'm not trying to say be cavalier. I'm not trying to say just go out and, oh yeah, I tried this flip and I borrowed these people's money and I failed. No, that's part of the learning. No, you can't put other people in jeopardy, right? But the absolute truth is this, that like Francisco is saying here, it's part of learning. It is part of the process. And you cannot just live your life avoiding failure, because the people that only thing they do is try to avoid failure, they end up failing at life. Let me hear that. Let me say it again. If you try to live your entire life avoiding failure, you eventually end up failing at life. Failure is part of the process. Failure is an option. Failure will happen. And so in this particular case, you know, a lot of work that went into this 3-day challenge that we were putting together. By the way, Josh, maybe if you're still on here, you can post the link there so people kind of get an idea of the 3-day challenge we put together. But guys, Josh did a ton of work on this. I want to just give him a big shout out. He did a ton of work. He changed things and let me tweak things. And I have a tendency to say, this is what I want. And then someone builds it. And then I say, okay, that's perfect. Now let's change everything. um, but Josh, he's patient with me. We went through this thing, built it all out, got it all ready, did some marketing, talked about it. But then, frankly, I failed because I did not put the attention into the marketing that we needed. So, Josh has got that on there, bestleadschallenge.com/opt-in. If you guys want to go check that out. But again, don't sign up for it because we're going to have to reboot it. We're going to have to remarket it, probably change some things on here again. But the point is this. A lot of work went into this and it didn't pay off. That's just part of being in business. That's part of being an entrepreneur. That's part of leadership. That's part of trying things that are maybe new, or bringing into trying things that are new to you or maybe new to the market, and it's okay. And so I had to just look at this thing. I had to assess it, and I had to call it for what it is. This was a failure, but it's a failure that we can learn from. It's a failure that we can revisit in the future so we can avoid certain things. It's also a failure that, in a sense, is actually not entirely bad, because the fact of the matter is we did get a lot of work done that we're not going to have to redo altogether. And so the absolute reality is we failed, but it's not the end. You see what I'm saying? So I'm curious if you guys can resonate with this, if this is helpful at all. If you guys have something that you want to acknowledge, maybe you failed. I don't want to ask everybody on to go on here and hi, I'm John, I failed. But it's like Sherry says, it's might as well just be authentic and transparent, right, guys? We're not always going to be winning on every single thing. Like every single day isn't a win. Other than the fact that, like Sherry said earlier, getting up, continuing to keep going, that is a win, right? I love that statement. Sherry said, I win every day because I keep going. I love that. So I appreciate that attitude. And that's what we're going to do, Sherry. We're going to keep going on this. We're going to lean into this. We're going to acknowledge what we did, what we didn't do. And like Josh says here, we still got everything we worked on, and we're going to start right back up. We're going to reschedule. We're going to come in with a stronger marketing attack. So you guys are probably going to see and hear more about this Best Leads Challenge in the future. But the point is, like Ted's saying here, all great achievements almost always preceded by failures along the way to success. This is the part that I kind of struggle with, okay? I'm going to just be honest with you guys. Sometimes, okay, first of all, how many of you have heard the story about Thomas Edison and the light bulb? How many times did Thomas Edison fail before he got that first light bulb to work? Anybody remember that? What's the number? Post it in the comments. Let me know in the chat. How many times, the number we hear is, okay. I mean, there's a pretty big number. I thought it was 1,000. Ted says it was 10,000. Oh my goodness. That's even worse than I thought. But I thought the number was 1,000 times, but Ted might be right. In fact, he probably is, because I'm just going off a number from my memory. But you guys remember Thomas Edison had multiple, literally thousands of attempts that did not work before he got the first light bulb with the filament that held and didn't burn out. And we now have, of course, the the numbers that we have. Francisco says 1,200. Definitely somewhere in there. Ted says I could be wrong. I'm going from memory too, but we know this. It was somewhere between 1,000 and 10,000, right? The point is, it was a lot. This is the part I struggle with, and you guys tell me if you can relate to this. Sometimes we have that Thomas Edison story floating around in our mind, and then there's also that old expression that says, "What's the definition of insanity?" You guys remember this? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and over again and expecting different results, right? So for me, if you guys can relate to this, let me know in the chat. I have this struggle sometimes between balancing, is this one of those things I just need to keep on trying and keep on doing it because it's eventually going to work? We just got to push through it. Or is this one of those things that I'm going to look back and say, that was insane that I kept on trying and doing that whenever I should have just scrapped it a long time ago? That's the personal thing for me. So I'm just being real, being vulnerable there. Sometimes I struggle with those two things. And I think there's a way to figure that out, by the way. I think the way that you figure it out is you sit down and you actually look at the thing that you're attempting to do and start going back to the why factor, right? Why am I doing this? Why is this important? Why is the market demanding this? Or am I trying to put something out there to the market that's just a figment of my own imagination and there's not really a demand for it? You got to be honest with yourself. You got to get real. You got to get vulnerable. You got to look at things from an objective point of view. But I will say that's something I struggle with sometimes. It's like, man, should I be continuing to do this, or is this that like borderline insanity type of thing? So that being said, in today's story with my failure that I owned up to, yeah, I've definitely not. We haven't attempted it 1,000 times. We're going to go at it again. I don't think it's wrong to try it again. Tess says it's like starting in a new field like real estate investing. Yes, especially true in that area, right? You guys are just getting new into real estate. You're just kind of dipping your toes in the water of lending or flipping or being a landlord, right? Understanding this is huge. Understanding this, that not everything is going to be a win. There's going to have to be failures in order to get to the place that you're trying to get to. So, with that being said, I appreciate the fact that you guys let me get on here and just kind of be real. And I appreciate the fact that you let me, acknowledge my failures without being ridiculed for it, right? Because nobody likes to be, kicked when you're down. But that's just part of the deal, right? We're entrepreneurs, we're business people. We're out there trying things that a lot of people would just be terrified to do. So you guys are in good company if you're one of those groups of people that during this group that's like, Francisco is out there. By the way, if you guys don't know Francisco, you really need to get to know him. He's a great contractor. He comes out to our local meetup all the time. And I was telling him the other day, he first started coming, I think it was probably almost 3-4 years ago. He first started coming to the PDX REI group meetups. And Francisco, this is not any slight on him at all. Francisco, his English was not that great, right? Still better than my Spanish, but not that great. But I was just telling him the other night, man, Francisco, his English is greatly improved. He's a great communicator, easy to talk to. He'll ask good questions. So if you guys are looking for a contractor in the Portland area, make sure you check out Francisco Sandoval. He can do a lot of different stuff. He's got a lot of different connections. And I love the fact that he's always tuning into these calls. He's always at the meetups. He's staying close to the real estate investing community at PDX REI Group. Speaking of PDX REI Group, guys, don't forget next month's meetup. The month of May meetup is still on the third Thursday, okay? Third Thursday, we're going to have our meetup, but we're not going to be at the regular location. We're going to mix things up, as I announced last Thursday night. We're going to do kind of an interesting flip tour. So we're actually going to start in the morning. We're going to have a mid-morning meetup. We're going to have an early afternoon meetup on site at a flip. And then I'm looking to end the day at 6 o'clock, maybe a little bit earlier, but at another on-site location of one of the flips. So if you guys know somebody that's doing a flip in the Portland market right now, and you know that they'd be interested. I know I already have a couple of people. We've already talked to Caitlin Beals. Her flip should almost be ready to hit the market. So we're going to have Caitlin. We're going to do an on-site flip event. So we're going to have three. I'm shooting for 3 different on-site, kind of like a flip tour, right? Or progressive flip. Remember those progressive dinners? You go to different people's houses all along the way. You know, start off with the appetizer, and then you get your main course, and then have your dessert. We're going to do a similar type of thing with the PDX REI group meetup in the month of May. So you guys check it out, put it on your calendar right now. Do not miss this. Okay, spread the word about this. The 3rd Thursday of next month, May, we're going to begin doing some on-site, on-location flip tours, and it's going to be awesome. We're going to try to have the flips of different variations of stages. So we're going to try to have one that's just getting started. We're going to have another one that's kind of midway. And then it looks like we'll be meeting up with Caitlin Beals at the end of the day. That's kind of the plan for now. It could change a little bit, but the point is we're going to try to do 3 different on-site location tours. We're going to have the people that are there flipping. We're going to have them talk about how they found the deal, how they financed the deal, what kind of problems they've run into in the process, what they expect to make on the back end when they sell it, and then, you know, any tips or tricks that they might have and that kind of thing. So it's going to be awesome, guys. The weather should be amazing. It's going to be really cool. And then if you're on the Treasure Valley side, if you're in the Idaho, Boise, Idaho area, we're looking to have our first meetup here, the TV REI group, Treasure Valley Real Estate Investors meetup. We're going to be meeting on Friday, the 2nd of May. So we got first Fridays and we got third Thursdays. If you're in Idaho, we'll do first Friday together. If you're in Portland, we'll do the third Thursday together. So guys, put those days on your calendar. It's going to be awesome. Yes, Josh, it is going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to getting that put together. So Monica says, yes, Francisco is amazing. Sherry says, Francisco, I need your help. So looks like you got some new customers. I'm looking at the comments here. Ted says, I failed many times, never enjoy it, but I know my focus and I know my path. As long as I'm following it, I'm at peace. That's right. So it's part of the process. Appreciate it. Okay, Arturo's on here. Arturo says that's awesome. It is awesome. We're gonna have a great time for the Progressive Flip Tour. That's guys, again, third Thursday. Just put it on your calendar. If you can take it off, maybe plan on taking the entire day off so you can hit all 3. What we're gonna do is we're gonna do one mid to late morning, one mid-afternoon, and then we're gonna have one in the evening. And we're going to try to hit all 3 of those, and everybody can just rendezvous at those different flip locations. And we'll have more about that announced in the PDX REI group under the events tab. So same thing with TV REI group. We're going to be putting that in there. Josh, make sure you touch base with me. We'll get those put out there really soon. So guys, I think that's it for today. We try to keep these things under an hour so you can get back to your work day. Just a little interjection of real estate chatter. Some talk about co-living today. We talked about the flip tour coming up, the meetups. We talked about failure, how you can learn from that. And then we just are trying to encourage each other to stay on the path, stay on the course. Even if you fail, it's not the end. You can learn from your failures. You can reassess, reevaluate, and get back into it. And so you guys stay on path. Let's keep going. Monica says, anybody interested in carpooling? She's in Clackamas, Happy Valley area. That's a great idea, Monica. You guys put your plan together up front so that you're not trying to scramble and get this all figured out the day before or the day of. So remember, that's the third Thursday on the Portland side and first Friday here in Treasure Valley. So guys, appreciate you. God bless you. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm looking forward to connecting with all of you that are in the Legacy Leads training tomorrow. Legacy Leads is something that we're doing. It's kind of, it's going to be, if you guys do end up joining us on the 3-day challenge, when we get that relaunched, the 3-day challenge is going to introduce you guys to the concepts of Legacy Leads. Andy says, I'm enjoying Legacy Leads. Awesome stuff. Lots of learning. So appreciate that. Guys, we'll talk to you soon. If you guys have any questions, let me know. But until I see you guys next time, God bless you. Love you. And appreciate you guys being here today. Take care. Bye-bye.